lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Never be lacking.
Shalom, shalom. Double grace and peace be always on to each and every one of you. And a warm welcome to Inspirational Thoughts on this Thursday morning. It is my prayer and hope that you had a wonderful evening and that you will have a blessed day today. Inspirational thoughts. Inspirational thoughts have the power to uplift, motivate, and transform our lives. They act as a guiding light, offering us the encouragement we need to pursue our dreams and overcome obstacles. Whether delivered through famous quotes, personal reflection, or profound observations, inspirational thoughts can change our perspective and inspire action. Inspirational thoughts are more than just words. They are seeds of potential that, when nurtured, can grow into powerful motivators for change and achievement. By embracing and integrating these thoughts into our daily lives, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities and a brighter, more fulfilling future. Inspirational thoughts is a program that is geared to do just that, to inspire and to motivate each and every one of us. If you are seeking daily motivation, then Inspirational Thoughts is indeed a program for you. I would like to encourage you to share this program with as many as possible so they too can receive that inspiration on a daily basis so that they can be better and do better. This morning, we are going to continue to look at 9 things to avoid if we are going to be better. And if that is your desire, I hope and pray that you would have paid attention and that the things mentioned, you will indeed avoid them. This is part 3, the final part. And if you missed part 1 and part 2, I would like to encourage you to visit our YouTube channel or our Facebook page. The video is still there. You can go over them and make the necessary applications in your lives. These are practical things that we need to avoid. Today, we're going to look at the final 2 things, though there may be other things that we could add and we could speak about. But I do hope that the 9 things that we would have shared with you over the period of 3 days will indeed inspire you to implement them in your lives so you can be a better individuals. Before we go into our our discussion for today, I would like to share the quote for the day. As always, we share a quote. For some reason, yesterday, I believe I got a little excited and forgot to share the quote for the day. But this one is very simple, and probably you have heard it already. Be the change you wish to see in the world. We can make this quote more specific. Be the change you want to see in your workplace. Be the change you want to see in your home. Be the change you want to see in the church. Be the change you want to see in your community. Be the change you want to see in your country. Change begins with me. Change begins with you. And if we change ourselves, that is the first step in bringing about change around us. So I trust that this quotation will indeed mean something to you, and you will seek to be that change that you want to see in the world. And we can also narrow this down. Be the change you want to see in others. In other words, let others see that you have changed. And by they seeing your transformation, this will aid, this will help them to transform their lives as well. So be the change you want to see in the world. This morning, we are going to look at the final two of 9 things we need to avoid if we have the desire to be better, if we have the desire to be the servants God expects us to be. If you are an individual that requires or desires change in your life, then if change is going to take place, there are definitely some things that you need to avoid. And as we look at these two final points, I trust that you will be enlightened. It is my prayer that you will indeed be inspired. The 2 points we're going to look at this morning. Number one, overcommitment. Avoid overcommitment. Number two, we need to avoid gossiping. And if we are to put these in order, then overcoming or overcommitment would be number 8, and the gossiping would be number 9. Can you relate to these 2 points? Are they relatable? Are there times you find yourself overcommitting? Are there times you become a gossiper? Let us look at these 2 points. And as we do, I would like to encourage each and every one of us to take an introspective view of ourselves. And notice I am encouraging us to take a closer look at ourselves. Because one of the problems that we have is that we pay too much attention to others and not to ourselves. We know the things others need to do to bring about change in their lives. But often we fail to look at the man in the mirror and the things that the man in the mirror has to do in order to change and in order to be successful. That is why the quote for the day is, be the change you wish to see in others. Be the change you wish to see in your church. Be the change that you want to see in your home. Be that change that you want to see in your community. Be the change you want to see in the world. Change indeed starts with me, and it starts with you. When we speak on the subject of overcommitting, are you guilty of overcommitting yourself? Are you aware of the consequences? Are you aware of the dangers of overcommitting yourself? When we speak of overcommitting, we are talking about going beyond your limits, doing more than you can handle, going the extra mile when it is not necessary, right? We need to avoid overcommitment for many reasons. Taking too much on, doing too much at a particular time can lead to stress and burnout. Let us take a look at this in the workplace. Are there times when you take on too much at one time? What is the end result? At the end of the day, do you feel better or do you feel exhausted or burnt out? Burnt out. What about in the church? What about in the church environment? Are there times you find yourself overcommitting that it leaves you stressed out and burnt out? Yes, we are doing the Lord's work, but we ought to take time for self. We ought to take time to rejuvenate. We have to take the time to revitalize. Even Jesus took the time out. He took time apart from his disciples and from the crowd where he could communicate with Abba Father, his Father, in an environment that is disturbance free, that is noise free. He took the opportunity to revitalize himself. And we today ought to do the same thing. Because when we overcommit ourselves, whether it is on the job site, whether it's in the workplace, whether it is in the church, whether it is in helping in our community, whether it is taking up, overcommitting ourselves in the home and doing everything, let me tell you this, it is going to lead to burnout. Here's the question I have. Can we be engaged in doing good things that leads to a negative result? Can we be engaged in doing good things? And I mean, sometimes the activities that you're engaged in, it is a good engagement because it brings aid to other individuals, right? But what are the end results? There are multiple end results. One, the people that you're helping and the task that you are involved in may reap good fruits. But what about you as an individual? Is the out product, the end product, beneficial to you? At the end of the day, you are doing something good, but you're killing out yourself to the point that you get up tired and exhausted and you can function effectively or efficiently, right? You can function properly. That is why it is important for us to avoid overcommitment. And when we speak of avoiding overcommitment, we're not saying that you are not interested in doing good. What we are saying is that you ought to take time for yourself. If you are going to continue to do good, if you're going to continue to help, then you need to be in the proper health to do so. Many people overcommit themselves to the work, to their job, and at the end of the day, they get sick. And sometimes it may lead to their death. And the reason why we overcommit ourselves, sometimes we think within our minds that, here what? The work needs me. I am the only one who is able to do the work that way. I am the only qualified person. But here's the truth and the reality of things. When you die, or you are in the hospital and can't function anymore, the workplace, your employer start looking for other individuals who can fill the position. We are all replaceable. We are all replaceable. Whatever job that you're doing, and you may think that you are the one that is fitting for that job or position, and therefore you overcommit yourself, burn out yourself. Let me tell you something. When you can't do it anymore, there will be a replacement for you. Now, the replacement may not be the best, but over time, the replacement will probably do a good as job as you, right? So we are all replaceable, and we need to understand this. And having such understanding, it will really help us and to value taking care of ourselves. So that is why, if we are going to be better individuals, if we are going to grow as Yahweh expects us to do, there are times we need to take a break. We should avoid overcommitting ourselves. We have to learn to say no. And I want to say this again. There are times we have to learn to say no. Set boundaries to manage your time. Prioritize self care. Ensure that you have time for yourself. I cannot stress on this enough. And I don't know who needs to hear this. But if you are one that's overcommitting yourself, if you are going to be effective at what you do, you need to take the time out to rest. You cannot and should not overwork yourself because we are all replaceable. Avoid overcommitting. And in order to do so, to avoid overcommitting, we ought to delegate task. Delegate task. Share responsibilities when necessary or when possible. Delegate responsibility. Let us take this to, we can take this to the workplace, we can take this to the home, we can take this in the community, but let us take a closer look at the church. There are many preachers who are experiencing burnout because they think that everything needs to be done by them. And not only do they think that, but within the Eastern Caribbean, many churches and congregations, they have the mindset that the preacher has to do every single thing. So the preacher, what he does, he preaches, he teaches on a Sunday morning, he preaches on a Sunday as well. Sunday evening, he is in charge of the service again. Wednesday evening, he's doing the Bible study. And he spends a lot of time preparing for these lessons so that he can feed the church. But my question is, what about himself? When does he take the time to rejuvenate himself? That is why there are many preachers who suffer with heart attacks, stress, and burnout. Why? Because they don't prioritize their time. Why? Because they don't delegate responsibilities. They don't delegate responsibilities. So avoiding overcommitment is essential to one's personal growth and development. Therefore, anyone who desires to do better and to be better, anyone who wants to be better on the workplace, in the church, in the community, in the home, they need to realize the importance of avoiding overcommitment. Why? Because it leads to stress and burnout. It leads to stress and burnout. Now, I would really like to hear your take and your thoughts on this point. Are you guilty of overcommitting yourself? Are you guilty of putting work and other things before self care? If you are, I am here to encourage you to stop doing that. Make some time for yourself. Make some time for the Lord. Make some time to study God's words and to revitalize the spirit that is within you so you can fulfill your task efficiently. I hope and pray that this was indeed an eye opener for you. And like I said, I would really like to know what are your thoughts on this point. Please feel free to put them in the comment section. I'd really like to have this dialogue with you this morning. But let us jump over to point number 9, which is point number 2 for today, and that is gossip. That is gossip. And before we delve into this, I would like to say a pleasant morning to Brother Shanna Robin. Good morning, brother. How are you doing? I hope and pray that all is well with you this morning. And if you're tuned in, please send me a message or just like the program, and I will definitely give you a shout out this morning. I want to know who's tuned in right now, who's there with me. So please let me know by sending a message. And if you want to contact me directly, you need to visit LBW Radio's Facebook page or YouTube channel, and the comments will come right to my EV Mox platform, and I'll be able to see it and comment. If you're commenting on one of my personal page, then I would have to go to that page to get that response, right? So don't forget, when you are there on the YouTube channel, don't forget to like and subscribe, right? So we are learning this morning that if we are going to be better, we need to avoid overcommitment, overcommitting ourselves. But number 2, we need to avoid gossiping. We need to avoid gossiping. Now, let me ask the question. Are you guilty or have you been guilty of gossiping? Have you? Gossip can can damage reputations and relationships. And understanding the dangers of gossiping, I believe that should put us in a position where we avoid it. So understanding that gossip has the ability to damage relationships and and reputations. And let me tell you this, the damage of reputations and relationships, it is not just speaking in reference to other individuals, but it is also speaking about the individual who is doing the gossiping. So it affects the individual, and it also has the ability to affect the individual that's been gossiped about. Because if you're a gossiper, let me tell you this can ruin your relationship with others. People are going to view you differently. People are going to view you differently. It will also affect your personal relationship with others, because no one would want to be a friend or acquainted to someone who gossips, because they would look at you as someone that they cannot trust. Because if you and I are friends, and we speak about something, or I am going through something, and I share that with you, I am sharing it with you so that you can assist or help me become better. But instead of helping me, you go and tell everyone else about my weakness or about my challenges. And before I know it, everyone in the community starts to look at me differently. And I myself am wondering, hey, what is going on? I could see the disdain, I could see the disgust in people's eyes, in their actions, the non-verbal way of communicating. I could see that. And that leads me to wonder why, what's really going on. And when I find out that you were the one who shared my weaknesses, and my challenges with others that caused them to look at me in that way, I am not going to love you more. I am not going to love you more. I am going to pull myself away from you. So when we think about gossip, we need to consider the danger of gossiping. It has the ability to damage reputations and relationships. So instead of gossiping, we need to speak kindly, focus on positive and constructive conversations. One man said, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Respect privacy. Respect privacy. And one of the points that we talked about was dishonesty. And it could be aligned with with gossip. Because when one gossips, usually it is as a result of dishonesty. You know, somebody shares something with you and you pass that on, that person can no longer trust you. So we have to learn to respect privacy, um, keep other keep others in confidence. Confidentiality is of great importance. It is important in the workplace. It is important in the home. It is important in the community. It is important in the country. And it is important in the church. It is important in the church. And one might say, gossip is something that the world does. But remember, the church is made up of human beings. And therefore, gossip can fall in or be a part of the church community. It should not. But there are people, even within the church, that you can confide in. That is why there are so many people who don't trust church anymore. Because the very same thing they see outside, that's what they see happening in the church. There are times people can sit, and while they're singing, they're talking about that sister who come in, probably she's not able to dress like the others. And they start talking about the way she's dressed, the way she walks, and they start all this negative talk right in the church. But if the church is going to be different, then the church needs to be that change that she wants to see in the community, in the world by extension. We cannot be the same. We need to be that change. I hope I'm speaking to someone this morning who needs to hear this. We need to be the change we want to see in the world. So we need to avoid that gossiping, engage in uplifting dialogue, and promote encouraging discussions. So there are alternatives for gossip. We don't have to gossip. When we come together and we're dialoguing, it should not be about the next brother or the person in the community. We should talk positive things. But here's the question: what does the Bible have to say when it relates to gossiping? What does the Bible has to say? Let us go to the book of Proverbs. The chapter is 11 and verse number 13. We're going to look at three passages in the book of Proverbs, starting with chapter 11. We're going to jump to chapter 20, and then we're going to jump to chapter 26 of Proverbs. This is one of my favorite books in the Bible. Why? Because it is a practical book. It deals with practical living. If you want to know anything when it relates to practicality, then you need to go to the book of Proverbs. So let us go there if you're able. Proverbs chapter 11 and verse number 13. Listen to what the Bible tells us. A talebearer revealeth secrets, but he that is of a faithful spirit counseleth the matter. Mm, mm. You know what this is saying? This is saying that those who are faithful should not entertain gossip. Why? What do you do, and how do you respond when someone comes to you with some interesting gossip? And usually, gossip usually is sweet. We the way we describe it in Dominica, Beth story. And many of us, we like story. So when the story come, when the gossip come, the Beth come, we listen. We entertain it. But we ought to put a stop to it. That is what we ought to do. We ought to put a stop to it. So the proverb writer is saying in verse number 12, verse number 13, and he describes a gossiper as a talebearer, one who carries news. And the news that he is carrying or she is carrying is not good news. It's negative news. I wish they would have carried the gospel to others. But instead of fulfilling their responsibility, their duty as saints to share the word and encourage others, instead of doing that, they go around carrying tales. So the Bible is saying to us in verse 11, a talebearer, he reveals or he revealeth secrets. That means a talebearer can be trusted. He says, but he that is faithful in spirit counseleth the matter. So in other words, he is not going to listen. And let me tell you this, we have the power, or the power is within us to cancel out gossip. And when it comes our way, we have to stop it. So if you don't have anything good to say about Tom, Dick, or Harry, then you need to keep silent. You need to keep your mouth shut. And I'm not just speaking to church folks. I'm speaking to every man who has understanding, every man who has an ear, let him hear. Because we can bring about a change. You can bring about a change in your life. And it starts by avoiding certain things. And one of the things that we need to avoid is gossip. Let us go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 20, and verse number 19. And it is 10:2. We started a little late. Let me just cross-check the time that we have. We just have about 2 more minutes to go. I believe we should be able to cover the rest of the thoughts this morning. So we're going to Proverbs chapter 20 and verse 19. And if you don't have your Bibles, I would like for you to just take it down. Take down the verses and then read them later. And what I would like to encourage you to do is read the context so you can get a little more, information on the subject. So Proverbs chapter 20 and verse 19, the scripture tells us, he that goeth about as a talebearer revealeth secrets, therefore meddle not with him that flattereth with his lips. So the proverb writer again is talking about the talebearers, and what is he saying to us? What is the encouragement there? The encouragement there is meddle not with him. Don't interact with him. Don't interact with him. That is our duty, our responsibility. If we want to be the change, there are some things we ought to avoid. We cannot entertain certain things. And gossip is one of them. Gossip is one of those things that we need to avoid. Let us look at another passage of scripture. Proverbs chapter 26 and verse number 20. Proverbs 26:20. It says, where no word is, the fire goeth out, sorry. So where there is no talebearer, the strife cease. Now, this suggests that gossip, talebearers can bring serious confusion and turmoil. It can lead to hatred. The proverb writer describes it as fire. And what fire does, fire destroys. There is also some good parts to fire, where fire is used to kindle, to cook our food and stuff like that. But fire is one of the most dangerous forces out there. If it is not properly used or controlled, it can lead to death. It can lead to mass destruction. So the proverb writer is saying, where no wood is, there the fire goeth out. So if there is no fuel for the fire, then the fire will not continue. The fire will stop. The fire will go out. Fire needs fuel to keep burning. It needs fuel to keep burning. And if you keep putting wood in the fire, then the fire will never go out. So if you want the fire to stop, then you have to pull the fuel away. You have to take away the fuel. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about gossip. Gossip is that fire, that talebearer who reveals secrets, right? We have the option to keep that fire burning or put it out. And my encouragement to us is to put it out. Don't continue to provide wood to that fire. Don't continue to provide fuel, because it will continue to burn. And eventually, here's the flip side to this. We are entertaining it, right? We are fueling it. But what we fail to realize is that the very same people who gossip about others with you will gossip. You all get it, right? You all picking it up, right? The very same people who gossip about others with you will gossip about you with others. And that's the reality of it. That is why it is so important that we understand the value of avoiding gossiping if we want to be better. We have to avoid gossiping. So the proverb writer, says, so where there is no talebearer, so he's making a comparison between wood and fire. As long as there is wood, the fire will continue to burn. And then he's saying, where there is no talebearer, the strife ceaseth. Where there is no talebearer, where there is no gossiper, where there is no gossiper, there will be no strife. Because gossip, it brings strife between people. People who probably loved each other, shared so many memories together. Someone can come with a story and break that apart. There are marriages who have been doing well, that have been doing well. And some talebearer, some gossiper comes in and whispers into just one of the individual's ear, and it causes problem that can lead to divorce. And it can lead to greater things as well. Because some people who can bear and who are not willing to unravel the truth this can lead them to doing other things, such as murder. Folks, I hope you're listening this morning. And I hope I'm speaking to someone. And if I'm not speaking to you, but you may know someone that needs to hear this, then I want to encourage you to share this program with them. Because anyone who has the desire to do better, to be a better person, to be a better kingdom disciple, there are some things that they need to avoid. And today, and for the past 3 days, we have been looking at 9 things to avoid. And this morning, I stopped by to share the final 2 with you. And these 2 things that we need to avoid is we need to avoid overcommitment. And number 2, we need to avoid gossiping if we are going to be better representative of Yah. If we are going to be better saints in the kingdom. If we are going to be better individuals in our home, on the job, in our community, and in our country by extension, we need to avoid gossiping, and we need to avoid overcommitment. Folks, I really hope and pray that for this past 3 days, I would have shared enough information with you to encourage you to avoid those things so that you can be better. You can definitely be better. I have to go this morning. I really, really have to go. Lord willing, tomorrow we will be back with you. And remember, tomorrow is Melody Friday, and we're having Brother Terrence G. Regis, who will be with us and sharing a message in songs. Also, before I go, I'd like to send a huge shout out to people like Shana Robin, Tunes Life, for sharing this program. Almost every day he shares the program, and I can't leave out D Block Walsh. Well, old school people I'm talking about there. People who have been by my side and been my friends from a youth up. Tunes Life and I used to do a lot of fishing together. Though we never attended school together, but we grew up in the same community, and we did a lot of fishing. And if you can remember well, there were a few times I outfished him because we used to go fishing, fishing, and there's a competition to see who catches more fishes, right? And there was a time that I won, and the Block Walsh, this brother and I, we sat in a classroom for many years, from one class to the next, and to have them there as a support system, and constantly looking. And most of the time they can't view the program live, so they view the program later and share it. I do appreciate you guys, and I just pray that the Lord will continue to bless you, bless your endeavors, and I pray that you will indeed find the Lord at some point in your lives. So I do have to go until tomorrow, Lord willing. I just want to say again, shalom, shalom to everyone. Grace and peace be always unto you. And remember the quote for the day. And the quote is, be the change you wish to see in the world. Be the change you want to see in your community. Be the change that you want to see in the church. Be the change that you want to see on the job. Change starts with you. And I just see someone else popped up there. Melissa. Oh God, I have to say hello to my eldest daughter. I just have to say hello to you. Do have a blessed day, folks. It is already 8:57. I do have to go spend a little extra time, about 8 minutes or so. But I want to thank you all as always for staying tuned throughout this session. I know this is like a 30-something minutes program. This is not a reel or a short. And many of you are able to stay with me from the very start, and I do appreciate you guys. Just have a blessed day today, and don't forget to put your trust and your faith and your confidence in the Maker. In the Maker. Shalom, shalom to one and all once again.
Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. For there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave